Okay, everybody, hopefully this is not going to be super nauseating. I'm going to do a little bit of an update of my art table and then do a look at some markers that I got in as recently, as well as take a peek at my paints, all of my paints, which I've recently organized. So this is kind of how things stand in my art table area. This is not a finished painting, it's just a bottom coat for an acrylic piece, but I just haven't gotten back around to it yet. You can see if you've watched older ones, I used to have all of my paints in a spin wheel here, which I haven't taken down yet. I just recently made that smaller to give myself a little room, and I reorganized my paint, which we are going to look at in this video in a little bit. But I just kind of wanted this clamp stand is amazing for filming while painting and that kind of thing. And this right here is an art light, which is amazing for getting true color when you are painting, which is really important. Also, in my actual lamp, I do have smart bulbs that I can adjust the color tone on to also get a real clean color or view of the actual color, which is important. So let's go in. I've also added this 4 drawer, which of course I have randomly open, but we'll talk about those in a minute. So I love this. I purchased this a little while ago, and I think I put a picture up on Instagram probably. I think I got it at Michael's, and it is fantastic for holding things. You can see that I've changed my paints to paints that are ones that I use for miniature painting. Mostly Vallejo paints, but some other ones as well, so that I can kind of spin this as I am doing miniature painting. Very important. Miss Veronica Jude gave me Mr. Bob Ross there. These are the current miniatures I've been working on, which are Mouslings. How cute are Mouslings? Oh, I have a whole bunch more in that little green tin to do, and one that's getting ready to be. I might paint that one on video just for the fun of it, because why not? There is one of my daughter's characters, Quinn, that also needs to be painted, but being that I'm currently obsessed with Mouslings, I'm not sure when that's going to happen. So over here you can see sort of my water setup. Both of these I got at Hobby Lobby, and they are ceramic lined, and they work amazing. I love them. This is one I like to mix paint on ceramic, so this is one of my favorite mixers. Salt, and another ceramic mixer that's cracked up but still works wonderfully. Over here is a small Stay Wet palette that I use. I have a larger one as well for acrylics, but this is used for miniature painting. Sorry folks, I'm into the miniature painting at the moment. And then of course, you know, excellent place to put your phone. The ever needed heat gun, which is an amazing thing. Shall we use our foot to close that? I love these drawers. This has right now some random paintings. These are boards that I put on, but it also holds all of my paper and tapes for taping down paper. This drawer holds all my palettes, which we're going to take a look at in a bit. I don't even know what these ones are for. This is miscellaneous. This has Stay Wet paper that I use in the palettes. And in the bottom drawer has, this is what feet are for. If you're nauseated by feet, don't look. This has the tubes to refill my paint palettes. So, and then this is charging my GoPro camera battery, because I use that when I am filming painting. So, that's kind of an overview, I think, of the desk area and how I use it. So let's take a quick look at my palettes and why I like specific kinds of paint. So obviously paint and what paints that you use is a very personal choice. As you will see, I've tried a lot and I love a lot of different paints for different reasons. And the paint does react differently when you are using it. I'm not going to go into a long thing on this, but I've just reorganized all of my paints into their brands. I used to have it organized by color with brands mixed, but now that I'm a lot more comfortable with understanding the way that different brands move and shift and work, I usually am more interested in a particular effect, and so I want to so I will pull out that brand when I'm looking for a particular look or effect. So I'm going to first talk about my top 3 favorite paint brands, and then I'll go over the rest of them that I have. So this was a Holbein box, but I have Sennelier in here because it fits my Sennelier, and my Holbein was in my big spinny thing, but we'll find that in a minute. Whoops. Something wasn't wet because I had painted on it. So this is my Sennelier paint, and this is the very messy swatch. My paint things are messy. I use them, you know, I try not to make an utter mess out of things, but they are used and I'm okay with that. So this is sort of my favorite setup, going from yellows down to greens, and then having at the bottom row of things my sort of natural landscape things like your browns and your burnt siennas and yellow ochres and those kinds of colors that you use for natural landscapes down at the bottom here. That's generally how I like to have them. What I love about Sennelier is that it is beautifully transparent. This current setup here, you'll see all the T's are mostly transparent. I do have some semi, and I do have some opaque that came, I think, in the first set that I received. But I try to really focus my Senneliers on the transparency factor. And what I love about Sennelier paints is that you can layer these beautifully without creating mud, but in reality creating even just more glow underneath the surface. So these layer and glaze beautifully. When you first lay them down, you may be a little bit disappointed because they don't have the pop as some of the other paints will have, but that is because they then can be layered up and not create a lot of mud. It's easy to get into muck if you're kind of slapping paint around in layers, whereas this is built up in a beautiful, beautiful luminescent way. So I would say this is hard for me to say, right? We have different kinds of favorites. I would say that it's a hard, you know, it's an even match between Sennelier and Daniel Smith. They're just different. Daniel Smith I love for vibrancy and granulation. Now they also have transparent colors, so it's not that you can't do the transparent. I still feel that Sennelier glazes and does transparencies the best. But I love Daniel Smith for the granulation and the texture effects that you get. So these two are probably even in terms of how much I love them, but for different reasons. So Daniel Smith I have here in this. You can get these. I'll put a link to these cases and other cases that I got on Amazon so that you can see them. This is a tin that you can get, and you can get it with either half pans or full pans, and these I have in half pans. Room for some of my favorite Daniel Smiths I know I'm out of, so I do use Daniel Smith a lot. So I really like to look for colors in Daniel Smith that granulate, and so that is what I generally look for in Daniel Smith. I guess I should, let me do something real quick. I suppose I should say a favorite color from each of these. That would be kind of fun. I'm going to say a weird color for this. I do love this green brown here, and I do love this earth color here, and I do love this forest color here. But if I had to pick one color that I absolutely use the most and probably love the most, it is transparent brown. Now that I know seems really strange, but it is a beautiful transparent brown that allows you to layer and create effects, and it doesn't get overly muddy. You don't lose the richness and the tones. I love this transparent brown. So while I love a lot of the colors and the vibrancy, my favorite color out of this set of palettes is this transparent brown, because it is an earthy brown tone that does allow for transparent layering. So that's probably my favorite in that. So just let's start that over again. My favorite that I have here currently, now again, like I said, I do, there are some more colors that I'm going to have to refill that I have had in the past. My favorite color in what I have particularly is either this probably this Perylene Maroon. I do also like this Deep Scarlet, but this Perylene Maroon, and truthfully any of the Perylene colors, are just absolutely stunning. So I love that, and probably second to that would be Cascade Green, and probably third to that would be Lunar Blue. They just make amazing, beautiful colors. The granulation in Lunar Blue and the color changes is amazing. So, and same thing in Cascade. And Perylene Maroon is just so stunning. Down here you see ones that are literally made out of crystals, and so I have these kind of working my way up here. I'm going to start collecting more of these. So in the amethyst you can actually see bits of sparkle from the amethyst, so these are really gorgeous, vibrant colors as well. But if I had to pick favorites, it would be probably, if I had to pick all-time favorite, it would be Cascade, Perylene Maroon, and Light Blue, at least of the ones that I have right now, but I love every color that's here. So that is Daniel Smith. Daniel Smith, I think that I would recommend for texture. If you want to see things granulate and move and texturize on the page, Daniel Smith is amazing. And in their charts, they do show what are granulating and what are not granulating, so that you can actually pick for those colors. So it is stunning paint for granulation. My third favorite paint brand is Holbein. And so just like the others, there are different things that I like. I've just moved this out of the wheel, and so I haven't gone through and labeled everything yet, but they are all actually labeled on the sides of these. So truthfully, when I'm painting, I'm not thinking, oh, I want XYZ color, I'm going to go for that. No, I'm looking at this and I'm kind of pulling from that. So again, you'll see I like to have yellows to greens, and then into, I love this I think it's called Shadow. There's a very dark shadowy green. I quite love that color. Technically I should move these down here, but you know, I like to fill up the row. So Holbein, what I love about Holbein is that it makes beautiful clean flat washes. Now I was kind of messing around pulling some water down here so it doesn't show it quite as well, but you can get these beautiful smooth, that doesn't mean that none of it will granulate, because some of it will granulate more than others, but in general you get extremely vibrant colors that lay down really beautiful flat clean washes of color, and so I really do love to work with Holbein paints for that particular purpose. So again, my top three I think are, you know, this is vibrant and rich the moment you put it on the table or on the paper. Sennelier is thinner, lighter pigment that you can build up layers, but can create a beautiful smooth layered look as well. And then Daniel Smith being because of the granulation that I love. So you can see that it's the reasoning is for kind of the way that the paint moves and works. So those would be my top three, and the ones that I certainly use the most in painting. I'm gonna say this, the second or the fourth, and this is in order of love. I would have to say these are Polish Renesans. These are artist grade paints from Poland that my friend Mr. Bart had sent. Well, we went through and ordered some paints together and split some tubes and had a complete blast ordering paint. And oh, I didn't say, did I say my favorite color? Sorry folks, pause for a moment. My absolute favorite color is this right here, which, let me get the right name, is quinacridone violet. I just think it's absolutely stunning. I love a lot of colors here, but that one is a favorite of mine. I like all of the quinacridones, to be honest, but this, and I do also love this, this green shadow, which is shadow green. Shadow green, green shadow, green shadow, green shadow. So those are two are probably my favorite, but I do really love all of them. They are beautiful and they are vibrant, and they come, you know, re-wet quickly and lay down a lot of color and smooth color in a beautiful way. But if I had to pick one, it would be quinacridone violet for Holbein. I'm actually, you can see I have more tins in here because I am going to definitely be ordering more of these, as well as probably my goal is to get the whole set because if I do it through Mr. Bart, it's actually not that expensive. You can't find these in the United States except for one Etsy seller. I will try to remember to put a link down below, and they are still quite affordable compared to what artist grade paints cost. These are stunning. My favorite, absolute favorite, is Caput Mortem, which it comes on in almost a burgundy color, but dries into this beautiful shadowy purple that I absolutely love. This does do some fun, I wouldn't even call it granulation. It gets almost a speckled look sometimes, and using it to paint with, but they are beautiful. I really love working with these, and I will be, I love this gold green as well. But I will definitely be getting some more of these and probably completing the set because I do love to work with these. But my favorite color would be this Caput Mortem. So I will try to remember to put a link to, if I forget, just leave a comment and I will make sure to do so. But there's, again, these are hard, I'll put their website, and then the one place that I know in the US that's just starting to sell these, I'll put a link to there as well, because I think these are well worth looking into for quite a reasonable priced entry into maybe higher grade paints. So that was number 4. I'm trying to, again, do these in order. This is going to be a little, the rest are going to be harder for me to judge. I'm going to say core would be next. These are quite expensive. What's different about these is they use a different binder. I believe it's a synthetic binder, and they create a very spidery effects when you place these in place color in the water. The way that it moves is like it sends out tendrils and roots, and so that effect is really something that I love. But they are also extraordinarily rich and vibrant. This is actually a combination of 2 of their sets of 6. One of them was a real vibrant one. I can't remember, it's this top one here. The other one was their earth colors. So I just, looking at this is, I'm going to definitely be working with this fall, because these just look like they are made to play with in terms of fall colors. But they are extremely vivid. Like, you barely need to put any paint down and you have vibrant, instantly vibrant paint. I wouldn't really recommend it as much for lots of layering, unless you obviously really water. You can take anything and layer it, but you're just gonna have to work at it a lot more with these because they are so vibrant. But again, one of the I absolutely love about this is the fact, the way that they send out these little roots into water, and it makes a beautiful, the way that the paint moves is what interests me the most in this. I really, if I had to pick a favorite color that I have, I do love this quinacridone magenta because it is just so vivid, but I'm a big fan of almost all quinacridone golds. I'm surprised I didn't pick that in my favorites for Daniel Smith, because Daniel Smith's quinacridone gold is one of my all-time favorite colors all around. So I do love the quinacridone gold in this as well. It's very bold and very vibrant. So that's Core, Q-O-R. Then I would say M. Graham. These are actually really good paints. So I only have a few of these. And this is a very poorly done swatch sheet. I just got a mixing palette, right? So I have a basic red, a basic yellow, a basic blue. I did want a cool red as well, so I have another red. I think they sent me an extra red. They sent me a free red, I think. I can't remember, because I feel like what I purchased was a basic mixing palette of a red, a yellow, a blue, and then some neutral colors to use in landscapes of yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and raw umber. So for me, that would be sort of a really basic mixing set. And then I believe I got sent the Naphthol red free. And then I purchased recently the transparent red iron oxide, because I'm going to do actually a painting, a limited color painting palette. And I saw this being used on Mindful Watercolor, I believe is his name. And it blended and created some gorgeous colors. And so I had to pick this up. So these are really good. The difference with these is that they have honey in them. And so they can stay quite sticky. They always feel a little bit tackier. They take a lot longer to dry, but they are beautiful paints. Like, this is a beautiful sort of base set to have. If I had started collecting these earlier as a base set, would I have gone to it? I haven't used these enough to say that. I think that they are gorgeous and beautiful, and but I fell in love with the Daniel Smith, and the Holbeins are kind of my base colors. I have quite a good set of those at the moment. So these might end up having their place, a bigger place in my collection eventually. But I just kind of wanted to see with the honey binder how those would work together. So I'm putting these down here only because and as low as they are, only because I haven't really worked with these a lot yet. But they are absolutely beautiful. I don't have anything negative to say about them. This is M. Graham. Oh, and my favorite color, again, I don't have very much, but my favorite color is this transparent red iron oxide. Obviously I put it on really heavily, but it is a stunning fall burnt sienna-ish but brown in as well color. So that, as of right now, is that, but I have a very obviously limited palette. So this is one of, but I will say this, that one of the things to point out is that you don't need, I know I'm a bad person to say this, but you don't need a huge set of watercolor paints in order to paint well. I got really lucky with this Holbein set and found I think it was a 40 colors, I can't remember. I think it was a big palette of them that was on an extreme discount, because Holbein is pretty expensive. And I believe I got the 40 colors for like $100. And that was a huge discount. And so that got me a lot of colors quickly. But you don't need to have a ton of colors. You can get a mixing palette and mix your own colors. And this would be an example of a mixing palette. Now, for me, what is a comfortable mixing palette is a cool and a warm red, a cool and a warm yellow, and a cool and a warm blue, and then these three earth colors. So that would be in my opinion, but then you have what? You have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 9 colors of a brand will give you a good base to be able to learn how to mix your colors, and you can make all sorts of things just off of that. You don't need a ton of colors. That being said, I am a person who actually does love to have a lot of colors. Surprise, surprise. I do like to look at a swatch of colors in the palette and be able to just grab from them as I am painting, and so I do enjoy having larger, when I know that I like it, I do start to collect particular palettes. So there is that. So then what order for the last two? I guess it would be the Schmincke. Now, again, I know people are going to be shocked that this is so low because Schmincke is wonderful paint, and there are many artists who, you know, this is their primary paint. I have not used this a lot, so along with the M-gram, I am going to kind of reserve judgment until I, you know, do some paintings maybe specifically or only with their colors so that I have a better feel for them. I was a little bit disappointed, I have to say, with the Schmincke. And I feel like they're similar a little bit to Sennelier as that I think that they would layer really beautifully, but the Sennelier just, to me, outshone this so much that I never really went back to kind of working with these. Again, I got a bit of a mixing palette with some other colors just that I thought would be interesting, or I think that Bart sent along. And so my favorite is this Perylene Violet, which is really gorgeous. I'm a big fan of maroony colors, and that is my favorite of them. But I haven't given, and the Potter's Pink is gorgeous in this brand. I have used Daniel Smith's Potter Pink, which I'm actually not a fan of, and I love Daniel Smith, but I'm not a fan of their Potter's Pink. This is a really beautiful Potter's Pink, and I do really love that. So I have to come back and do a little bit more work with these because they are beautiful paints, but they just didn't overtake like Sennelier. And this is what I feel like this would be sort of comparable to Sennelier paints, and they just, for me, didn't overtake Sennelier. So I've got to come back a little bit to this. And then the last palette that I have are White Knight. I think it was just coupled 2 extra Polish paints that that Bart sent me. These are a cheaper, I think they are still considered somewhat artist grade, I guess. I'll have to look into that. I'm not an expert on White Knights. You can get these cheaper in Poland, and so, you know, my friend Bart helped me to pick these up. And they are, you can see they're actually really beautiful and vibrant. Again, I have not painted a lot with these yet, so I'm kind of reserving judgment on the swatches. They look gorgeous. I absolutely love this azure color here, and even this green earth looks absolutely, this olive green. I'm a big fan of olive greens. This claret looks gorgeous. So and these you can get fairly cheap compared to, again, other paints. So I haven't, again, give these enough of a chance. You can just even see all I think I've done is swatched with these. So I'm not, these are down at the bottom, not again because they're bad paints, but because I just haven't worked with them enough to make a statement on that. So that is all of my paint collection. Remember that I have, I do paint not for a living. That sounds ostentatious, doesn't it? But I am working on Oracle. I've done Lenormand. I do take my painting seriously because it's something that I do sell in the form of the deck as well as in the form of prints. I have started to sell prints in my shop, and so those are things that, you know, the paint is important to me, and testing paint, finding new paints, that's all stuff that's part and parcel of what I do. You don't need this amount of paint, but I'm extremely happy to have been able to experience all of these paints, to really learn about paint and the way that it moves, the differences in color, the difference in the way the paint moves, the difference in the way the paints layer. It's a beautiful walk through a learning expression of paint. And, you know, I suppose if someone had taken classes in paint theory and things of that nature, I still probably would have ended up paying the same amount of what I paid to have this personal experience that I have come up with. So, okay, so that is a walkthrough of my paints. The last thing I wanted to, maybe I'll do this separately. I think I'll do this separately. I will do, because I want to take a look at the Wild Unknown journal, of which I got the clean color real brushes to work with. So I think I will split that off into a second video. So there you have it. That has been an updated look at my painting table, my art desk area, as well as a look at my organized paint collection and what I feel about each of those. So I hope that you have found that interesting, and I will see you all later.